Hello, welcome to the Battling Barrow Gaming and continuing our series looking at D&D starter box sets. We are on to the 4th edition of D&D now. Wizards of the Coast for me dropped the ball in their first foray into starter sets compared to what TSR had done before. But can they redeem themselves with the 4th edition starter set? From the outset, they are pulling on my nostalgia strings by making it look like the Mensa basic set. So does that bode well or does it bode bad? Let's have a look at actually what this set is and what's in the box. So we're off to a roaringly good start. I mean, this is reminiscent of the set, from the first video we looked at, the Mensa set with the Larry Elmore art. The back, it's going to have some stuffing. We can see it's got stuff, so that's looking good. We're going to have maps and books, player's book and a DM book. Oh, we have cards. This is looking good as a starter set. What is in here? Let's have a look. Okay, put that there. So we got a DM book, different art, sort of reminiscent of the 4th edition compared to sort of early 80s Larry Elmore. Both are good. I have a slight fond preference to this because that's my era, but this is good. Back in the day you'd have different art on the books, but this one just has the same. Is that a problem? Not really. We have the DM book and the player's book, and we have tokens. So no models in this, but what we do have are tokens for the monsters. Some people might actually prefer that, so flip them over. They are double-sided, so say here we've got, looks like a goblin, and on the back it is, I can't make that out, a bat of some kind. Rats, I can't really make that out, but it's dark. I picked a great one, so let's pick the wolf and a goblin, that'll do. And then you have some bigger ones to represent the dragons, because this is D&D, we should have dungeons and we should have dragons, so that's good. There's the dungeon, we'll get to that in a minute. So these are just some player token bits and pieces. There's some action point game aid bits here. On the back of the dragons, it's got some other monsters, gelatinous cube. So these are representative of their model size. Next up is this. This is a poster size sheet. This is looking good because on one side we have an outdoor area that leads into a dungeon. It's pretty nice. I kind of like this style. Not hand drawn, computer generated, but done better than the last set. So these are actually 2 different maps here. You'd fold it or cut it down here, so you'd have this as one set, that as one set, and then on the other side, a bit of a letdown for the dungeon ones, but still better than the last one. Again, I'm going to just use one of these and fold these up. We'll see that in a minute. This is the dungeon top thingy majiggy. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, what's this I spy? Is this? It's character sheets. Character sheets. Look at that, full-blown colour character sheets. It's pretty cool. Your next quest awaits. Does it? Enter the redemption code below. Might give that a whirl. It probably doesn't work anymore. What have we got here? Players, your adventure just started. Advert. Cool. No worries. Like that. Yeah, so it's advertising book, that's cool. And but wait, unlike the 5th set, which we'll get to in the next video, this has one of these things. But unlike the 5th set, you do get a bit more stuff. In this was just some cards. This is where I stored the cards. So these would have been in sheets, so you would have been somewhat disappointed. It looks like there's more stuff in here than what there actually is. I pulled this trick again in the 5th, but I do have stuff under here. We have my cards. Now these are power cards, I believe they're called, but they refer to them at power cards. Yep. So we have at will, daily, and encounter power. If you've played the board games, the Dungeons and Dragons board games, these might be familiar to you. Have a look at my Wrath of Ashardlon retrospective on those. So yeah, these are just their powers. It will tell you this is at will power, light, minor action, target range 5, target one object or square or unoccupied square, and it'll tell you the effects. So you have these, you have cleric staff, wizard staff, roguey staff, and somewhere in there I think there's fire staff, but fire doesn't have as much of these as other players. Yeah, fighter, there it is. He only has a few because he's just duffing stuff up. Magic items, so you have a magic item card. It will tell you there what it is. And then second wing cards. That was a thing that was in the game because you couldn't have your players dying. Encountered things. So yeah, that's those. Okay, so that's the contents of the box, but let's have a look at the rules, how they stack up. If you've got character sheets, surely we're going to be creating characters, right? Right? Okay, so let's first take a look at the player's book. On the back, it teaches you how to read the cards we just looked at and some keywords to help you out. Fair enough. Let's see what we've got going on. No contents, that's fine. That is fine. How to use this book. Learn to play D&D, fancy role-playing game by yourself. It's play groups 3 or more people. Okay. Wait, part 1 Goblin Attack? Yeah, so what this does, if you remember from the Mensa basic set, which is this, is what it's trying to mimic. That had like a little solo adventure to get you used to playing and help you decide what character you want to be. This takes that to an entirely new level and will just play a choose your own adventure to create your character. So you will be creating a character, but you won't be using this to refer to. Fun way of doing it, but not very good for just jumping straight in the game and reading the rules and playing it. If they might redeem themselves at the end and have the summary of it, so you don't have to go through this each time you want to create your character. As you're playing the adventure, you're going to be filling in your adventure sheet, and it's a very time consuming thing if you've got a group of 4 people each having to play through this to get their characters before you get going. So it's something, and then it's a multi-part adventure as well. So now we're tracking the goblins, and this isn't even the DM book that you're reading. So your players start off not having a character created, but you're starting the adventure straight away and you're getting them to fill in the sheet as you're playing adventure. That would have been a better way to do this. No, they're playing it solo. And then it does go over things like here, and here's your ability modifiers here. So you could, potentially if you had a crib sheet written out and making notes, you could use this as a reference. But I can't even begin to go over this and go, how do we create a character? So whilst there is character creation, I can't cover it really in this set because it's done in this style. I can't even cover the rules really. I'm hoping that'll be in the DM book, because at the moment I suppose it's better than the third, and I kind of do like this if this was in the DM book. So you know, I've got a new group of people who never played D&D before. They always say your first session would be character creation, but that can be a bit off-putting for new players. Let's not bother with that. Let's get straight away into an adventure. Have some blank character sheets as we go along. We're going to be going through this all together, and you're making decisions, and from these decisions as we go along, we'll be helping you. That would have been a good way of doing it, but just this, having each person run through this before you get going, yeah, it's different. So what is in the DM book in this? Maybe this can redeem it and have the rules for us. Okay, yeah. Statistics, this is probably somewhat familiar to players of the board game. I know it is to me. Again, stat block could fit into a book and have the full thing in the monster manual. You can see here we are setting up our characters here and having Crossroads is some goblins attack, which may be strangely familiar to players of 5th edition starter set, this initial setup. Encounter 1 is going to give you, tells you how much experience you're going to get from it. So this is probably more aimed at DMs than players really, this set, because this is going through running the game rather well here. Conversations, encounters, most important rule, and here we have the ability checks. So it's the same as what we can before. Roll a 20-sided dice, decide on what you want to roll, add modifiers compared to the target result, and it has some examples here of an easy pass, a moderate pass, and a hard pass. So that's okay. Hey, we're on to combat. That's brilliant. So actions during the turn, opportunity actions, stuff. It's pretty good. There's your move, general movement, forced movement. Again, this was very. No, in the 3.5 starter set last video, I mentioned how it was getting more grid based and more board gamey. This takes it to a whole kind of new level. I mean, I think that's why this rule set lent itself so well to the Dungeon Crawler board games, because it was all here already. And I say for a board game, brilliant. For a role-playing game, terrible. And I think I said that in my Wrath of Shardalong retrospective as well. Here we go, combat. So to make an attack, roll d20, add appropriate modifiers, so strength for melee combat, etc. Compare the result to your target's 4 defenses. Yeah, not 1 defense anymore, 4 defenses. So armor class, fortitude, reflex, or will. Brilliant. So you've just overcomplicated it. Choose your attack and can't use for attack type, melee, range, close, or area. I just Wizards of the Coast for me. People talk about 4th being bad, but to me the rot started in 3. I mean, and this isn't necessarily a bad rule set, it's just a bad role-playing game rule set. So then we've got different modifiers here. It's getting, you know, it's bordering on a war game, all this sort of stuff as well. It's over complex, but the attack rules are pretty much the same as in the previous 2 we've seen there. You roll the dice, add some modifiers, get over their armor class, you hit them. Rest and recovery is here. I haven't seen anything about saving throws. So now we're getting on to, you may have noticed with Wizard of the Coast, I really can't, the starter sets don't do a good job of explaining the rules in this and the previous set. So here we go, saving throw is going to make pretty much the same. And then you can see how, it's interesting doing this retrospective of the box sets and the rules, because you can see how not a lot's really changed over time. Saving throw, d20, without any modifiers, compare it to roll lower than 10, the creature fails the saving throw and the effect continues, roll higher than 10. So there is a, that's for the monsters, there's, yeah. So the Twisted Halls is an adventure that picks up where the solo in the player's handbook left off. Okay, I guess. And, yeah. Mm. Mm. So anyway, there's just tools. It's this entire map here, so you whack that down. No fog of war or anything, just whack down, board, boom, becomes a board game. And counter 1, purification. So again, it just really does remind me of the D&D board games now, looking at this. Counter 2, Legend of the White Dragon, 8 Kobold Tunnelers. The nice thing is it shows you where to put stuff, and you're moving. I'm trying to make it sound exciting and like a proper adventure. Counter 3, Vesting. I mean, it's better than the third one, I'd say. This is better. I mean, we got some chess here. Dude, it's not too bad. It's not going to win any. This adventure is not going to go down as in the annals of D&D as the classic adventure that people are going to be scrambling to play, but compared to the last one, it's not too bad. Continuing adventure to return to town. It does have a town, but not like the second edition where you can actually do a lot in the town. Takes you through leveling up to the second level. It does go through creating adventures, so that will give you a rough idea that first adventure, but maybe after that you can play and think you can do it better. Gives you some help here on creating your own adventures, which I really appreciate. It talks about building a dungeon, perhaps using different sections of the tile here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it does give you a lot of options to create your own dungeon. That is cool. Talks about designing encounters. This is all pretty good stuff. And then we have monsters. No separate monster manual here, but we do have monsters in the back with stat blocks, and art is particularly good. I did enjoy the art in 4th edition. So we have some drakes. I've got some models that in the Dritz box and some goblins. Yeah, the rules may not be up to everyone's taste, but I'm thinking in my mind, just top of my head, without going away and having a think, this is a better starter set than what we saw in 3. So yeah. And yeah, this is where we talk about the town it's set in. This is in the Ninterval. This was their. This isn't effectively. This was a new campaign setting, but it really wasn't a campaign setting. It was just this little section here that's fleshed out in this set here. And what you were meant to do as a starter DM was flesh it out yourself. It wasn't meant to be its own campaign setting, but it sort of turned into one as 4th went on, and there was books set in here and other adventures that expanded it. So yeah, that's the full set. So I don't know if this is cheating, but sort of the time that set came out, you could also get hold of this, which is Keep on Shadowfell, which is like a little thing. And what this was, folds out, this had an adventure, Keep on Shadowfell, and it had some quick start rules. Sort of goes over what we've seen before, but does it in a much more concise way. It says, talks about attack here, skill checks, so it's what we're talking about, which I had difficulty finding. Boom, right here on page 1. Roll 20, add your skill modifier, any situation modifiers, use your powers affecting you. So is your result. Brilliant. Combat, just boom, here it is. It's what you want in a set. So you've got movement, goes over a bit more detail in the combat here because it was very tactical, this one. We have some starter characters just to get you up and running. Shame these weren't separate sheets. Again, they're in a book. It seemed weird to have that. That means all your players got to share this one book. Yeah, this is where Dragonborn becomes a thing, isn't it? I don't like Dragonborn. I can't stand it. I just don't like the concept. I like Draconians in Dragonlance, but Dragonborn as playable characters, some people would say they've been around in 2nd, but they weren't really. Some people say they were around in 3rd, but they really weren't. They weren't a thing. It was this set that made them a thing, and now they're bloody everywhere, and I just don't like it in my Forgotten Realms. Get them out. Well, I'm saying that this isn't Forgotten Realms, so this might be okay for Ninterval. What else do you get in here? Well, you get some cool tactical maps, which I may have to adjust my camera. Okay, yeah. So you got some of these, which again, poster maps. So you got this lovely outside one here, on the path. On the back, it's double-sided. Dungeon Dooby Ruby. Cool. That's that one. And I can never fold these back up. You got this one. So, you know, you got quite a lot in this. This one again had an outside bit. We have an inside crypt here that can go in. That's nifty. Sort of graveyard here. On the back, some sort of demonic statue, dungeony type thing. Like, that's pretty cool, isn't it? And you had this. An outdoor area here. And if you notice on the map, it would sort of have little symbols on here, show you that these are trees, so these are going to be. It has them on here as well. What this is denoting is it's sort of different terrain types. So you'll see, I don't know if you can see that. Well, we've got some triangles here, so that's just denoting different terrain. And we've got another outside area here again, so you can see a little triangle here, trees here. This is an outside going inside. All pretty cool. But what is the adventure like on this? Keep on the Shadowfell. So just like the first box set we looked at in 4th edition was doing member berries for the Mensa set, this is doing it for Moldave, because keep on the Shadowfell, keep on the Borderlands. Is that meant to trigger a nice memory for us? So it talks about here, it talks about the setting, which is sort of linted down. I'm going to say straight off the bat before we even look at this, I really like this. I used to run this quite a few times back in the day when we were playing 4th. Really like this. It's got everything I need in it. It's got the setting, sort of general area, a map of it. I love a map. I should have been a cartographer. So you have Keep on Shadowfell, Windhaven, some lairs, some hooks if you want to do your own thing. Excuse me, I should have put water up while recording this. Been a long one. It talks about setup and stuff and everything you need to get going. Play takes you through what a GM is. Again, skill checks are in here. Combat, going to what we've already seen in the other booklet, but in here for the DM, so he can have a look at it as well as give that other book to the players. But what we're here for, talk about gaining levels, conditions. What we're really here for is the adventure itself, and here it is. So on the road, Kobold Brigands. So it tells you the map, where to put the monsters, stat blocks, which I always appreciate. Boom, just a simple little encounter as the players are travelling. As it says here, the wind in your face is cold and comfortable. It's cool and comfortable. The road beneath your feet is level. Occasionally ancient cobblestones peeks through the dirt road, indicating decades of neglect. You notice footprints leading up and down the road, many of which were made by small clawed feet. Boom, just instantly in. That's getting your players, what? Going on. So after we've done that, we are going to Winterhaven. Now Winterhaven is a keep. It's keep on the Borderlands, isn't it? It's like really pulling that in. But inside we got an inn, so this is your town. And there was one session, I remember playing this one, we about 4 sessions just in this town, because people were just loving, the players were just loving being in this town, role playing, getting the adventure hooks from different people. It was spectacular. But then we're off to a kobold ambush, kobold lair. So what this is effectively is one big encounter, sort of broken down. I kind of really like this. So on the roll, so this is like your introductory thing. Then you go to town, you have an interlude. Boom, into town. You can see here, the way it's laid out is spectacular. And then this here is effectively one adventure but broken down into bite-sized chunks: A1, A2, A3. It's pretty darn cool. I like that setup a lot. And then Interlude 2, we're going back to the keep, but here again, a bit like how the second set did, it's teaching you how to take it to the next level. So you got your set, we're taking it to the next level, and we've got a bit more role playing in the keep, in the town, which something the third one didn't have. And then we're going to the ruins of Shadowfell Keep. So again, that would be the background story. That's the real story for the D&D. So he's got something to work with. Lovely map here. Beautiful, beautiful map. Area 1. So we're going to split this massive chunk thing up into areas. Just really well done. In fact, I'd still want to run this, perhaps using 5th edition rules. This was spectacular. I mean, I'd be happy with this as a starter set on its own, because to me sometimes as a DM, more DM players, it's all about the adventure. What am I going to be doing to get my players involved? And this was certainly a thing. This was a great adventure. So between this and the red box, Wizards of the Coast slightly redeemed themselves. So whilst this set isn't perfect, its character creation is a little shoddy. As a starter set, it's pretty good. It's going to get you going. That little adventure is going to get perhaps you have a session just to run it through with your, perhaps as a DM you could read it to your players and do what I said. That's pretty cool. Combine it with this though, and you are onto a winner. Perhaps either use the pre-gen characters or create your own from this, and then run it with this. That, to me, that is a starter set. I know it's separate. Is it slightly cheating? Even on its own, this is better than the 3rd edition's offering. So they did make improvements to the 4th as starter sets go. Whether what you think about the rules is another matter entirely. But Wizards have one more attempt at this. So in the next video, we're going to be looking at the 5th edition starter set, and I'm using that plural. So till then guys, take care.